Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Shutterfly. If you're like us, you take a lot of pictures because you have a camera right in your hand all the time. How would you not take a lot of pictures? And we're taking all these pictures, more than we've ever taken in the history of the world.
What are you going to do with them all?
That's the thing. You used to get a solid picture, and then you'd look through them, and you could enjoy them. Now they're like back on your camera roll. You can't even find them. You don't want that. That's why the cool thing you need to do, and what I did, and I think it's pretty cool, is create a Shutterfly photo book.
Oh.
What I did, and you're going to enjoy this, Jimmy, because I haven't showed this to you yet, but took all of our pictures from being on tour this year.
Oh.
All live show pictures, us backstage, us on stage, doing all that stuff, and like some of the venues and things, and made a little photo book out of that. Also, they have free 24-hour designer service as well. With their 24-hour designer service, a professional designer is going to lay out the book for you for free in just a day. Make something that means something with Shutterfly. Enjoy 40% off orders over $29 with promo code SMALLTOWN. See site for promotional details.
And now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back.
Do it.
That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure,
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here, based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs of caring for your home. Out, procrastination, putting it off, kicking the can down the road. In, plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out, carpet in the bathroom. Like, why? In, knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
Hello, and welcome to another express episode of Small Town Murder. Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you. Jimmy is ill today.
Oh, boy, am I.
Apologize for his
Scratchy throat.
Scratchy throat. COVID finally caught up to him.
It got me.
Finally got him, and luckily it seems like it's about what I had a couple months ago.
Luckily, I got it from my kid, and I think he's got it worse than me. So everything's going to be fine.
Luckily, my kid is much sicker than me.
He was the buffer between me getting sick and the world getting sick.
Listen, kid, you're young. You can take it.
You can take it.
I'm going to fall apart. That's how it is.
I need some gauze for this to go through. You're the gauze.
Absolutely. So anyway, here we are. We have a crazy episode for you. So this hopefully will make you feel better, Jimmy, and hopefully make everyone feel better. Very quickly here, just want to say, if you want extra small town murder stuff, you can get that very easily on Patreon with patreon.com/crime and sports. Anybody $5 or above, you're going to get access to crime and sports, bonus episodes, small town murders, anything we do bonus-wise.
Everything.
Everything. This week, very quickly, we're going to do the secret life of Tiger Woods for Crime and Sports. So we'll find out why he ended up with like a black eye and a broken SUV and an angry wife that one time. It's going to be very funny stuff here. Yeah. And then for Small Town Murder, one of our classics. Oh, my goodness. Boy. The prisoner dating game.
Yes.
Oh, my. This is a favorite for everyone. The all-violent felon edition of the prisoner dating game. 4 bachelors, 4 bachelorettes for Jimmie. He's going to get to pick one of each based solely on their dating profiles. And then once he picks them, we're going to find out what everybody did, and that's a lot of fun. We'll find out how horrible of a person Jimmie has picked. So let's do that. Let's do that. And don't forget, May 5th, and available for 72 hours after that, virtual live show coming there. Shutupandgivememurder.com is where you get your tickets for that. Let's do it. Let's go on a trip, Jimmie.
Let's run through it.
We have here, we're going to Hill City, South Dakota.
Hill City.
This is in southwestern South Dakota down there in the corner. It's the county it's in is a nice panhandle. It's just shaped like Oklahoma, and this is right in there.
The west side of Dakota is Wyoming, yes?
Over there's Colorado, Wyoming. It goes into all of that.
It's not
stuff.
Montana. Montana's on the east side, yes?
No, west of that. Yeah, Montana's. There's Dakota.
Montana's next to Idaho? No.
Yeah, Montana's between North Dakota and Idaho.
Got it. Okay.
Wedged snugly in between those two.
Okay.
I believe that. There you go. So it's geography with James and Jimmie. This is a small town. Well, just a couple of things here. Population 1,074.
Oh.
And it's almost doubled since 2000, like the late 2000 teens here, and especially since 2020. Seems like when everybody started moving in 2020, this place really swelled for some reason.
How about that?
It started as a mining town, just like Deadwood, if you're a Deadwood person, except here, tin mining was what they were into.
Really?
I didn't even know you mined for tin.
Tin doesn't make you much.
That
shit's cheap.
Seems like you'd be looking for gold, and you'd be like, oh, shit, I found tin.
It's just tin, you guys.
Shut down the operations. It's just tin. We're moved to the next hill.
We're moving on.
Bullshit. Yeah. It's goddamn tin everywhere. Nobody needs that. So, but then
bar roofs needed, I guess.
I mean, we're going to need some shed roofs. That's the thing. We're going to do that. Mount Rushmore in the 1940s and Custer State Park and also Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
Oh yeah.
Helps this area helps their tourism a lot. That's a big deal. It's kind of just a tourist area. Yeah. This area, it's a place where you go and they have a lot of restaurants and bars and things like that, wineries, and you just look at the hills. It's that sort of thing here.
Okay.
Pretty average in terms of money and cost. They make about the average. The cost of living's about average here. More outdoor jobs than normal, and they claim on their website here that Hill City is a great place to get away from the hustle and bustle of city life.
Oh.
So you can do that. They had a big controversy quickly about a dinosaur here. There was a Tyrannosaurus Rex that they found, a fossil, and they named it Sue after the woman who found it, Sue Hendrickson, who was a paleontologist. And after the discovery, there was some beef about it, where there was a controversy over who owned these fossils here. So there was the landowner, and then there was the tribe who originally owned the land, and then there was the federal government that also was involved in it, and then the Black Hills Institute as well. So all these people fought over dinosaur bones.
And it wound up in Chicago? Is it that one?
I believe it. Well, we'll talk about it here. May 12th, 1992, FBI agents seized the dinosaur.
What?
They're coming for the dinosaur. They seized the dinosaur from the Institute over the course of 3 days and shipped it to the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology to be held while an ongoing court battle happened. And finally, it was auctioned off by Sotheby's Auction House and sold to by Maurice Williams, who was found to be the rightful owner because he was the landowner, to the Field Museum in Chicago.
There you go. I knew I'd seen it.
For $8.36 million. So
that thing is $8 million?
It's an $8 million dinosaur right there.
Oh, my God.
When you look at that, be like, wow, this is like a...
That's unbelievable.
Like 7 Bugattis. This is a lot here.
I had no idea it was worth that much money.
Imagine 7 Bugattis like Voltron all together in a dinosaur
just
form.
Up there like that.
That's what you got. That said, that's where we are. Kind of a
fascinating,
rural, nice area. Let's talk about this murder here because it's a lot of murder, and we want to get it in our short amount of time here, so let's do it. Got to go back to 1993 for this one.
Okay.
On the morning of 1993, Jimmie knows exactly where he was on November 15th, 1993.
Am I? Yeah.
What, in like the 8th grade, probably? Something like that?
I was certainly in Phoenix.
There you go. In Phoenix. You weren't in Hill City, South Dakota. That I know.
was not.
And one man who was a resident of Hill City who was out deer hunting.
Oh.
Just out traipsing around the hills, deer hunting. And as you know, if you're ever out deer hunting, never look down.
No.
Never. You look straight ahead for deer running, never at the ground.
Look for deer and nothing else.
Nothing else. Nothing else, especially if it's on the ground and in the shape of a human body. You never want to look at that.
Yeah.
Well, they see what appears to be something in the shape of a human body.
Oh, no.
Lying approximately 30 or so feet away from the edge of a Forest Service road.
Okay.
And so this guy, he didn't go investigate too closely, but he flagged down a sheriff that drove by.
Attaboy.
Said, you get paid for this.
This is for you. I got to go.
This is what I do to relax. Understand? Like, I do this to relax. This is my day off.
Yeah.
I'm out here. I got a couple of beers.
This puts groundhog on the table for you, so I got to go.
This is what puts This is how groundhog gets on the breakfast table. Do you understand? This is how I do it. So the deputy here walks up to the body, and it is a body, is what they find. And not only is it a body, this particular body has no head or hands.
Oh, no.
Which is, but that's on purpose, really.
Yeah.
It's hard to kill yourself and make your head and hands pop off. It's a really difficult suicide, and it's really hard to get have accidentally fall down and have your head and hands fall off. Like, I see what happened. Yeah. He tripped on this rock, and his head and hands fell off, and he just died on the side of the road.
It's a lot of pressure when you hit the ground, and sometimes your hands,
Yeah, I've seen
people's pressure goes. Yeah.
You've seen people's shoes fly off when things happen, so maybe your head and hands pop off too at the. And with like a straight, like a cut too, not even
real
ripped.
Smooth.
Real smooth. So obviously he called for backup and secured the area. Several officers and technicians and all this shit. Everybody descends on the place and turns into a crime scene out in the middle of nowhere. This poor deer hunter. He's like, God damn.
Can you imagine? Oh,
whole day's ruined. That's it.
Fuck.
Day's over. So they're asking for help identifying this body because it has no head or hands.
Right.
So at this point, they know they have a body, and it's a male body.
Yeah.
Appears to be pretty young, not not an older person. They found, and this was back then more prominent and an easier way to tell. They found a tattoo on him.
Hell yeah.
And a scar from an old injury as well. The tattoo is a teardrop-shaped peace sign with the letters AWOL underneath, and it was tattooed on his upper left arm. So, if you knew the guy,
that's very unique.
That's a very unique tattoo. That's what I mean. It's not like he had a panther on his
right.
It wasn't something like that.
He had a dragon on his forearm.
I saw it. It was beautiful. I'll tell you what. There was a flame coming out of it and some kind of writing that I don't know what the hell it said. It was some one of them other countries with people running around.
AWOL is very specific.
It's very and a teardrop shaped peace sign with AWOL. I feel like that definitely means something to this guy.
Yeah.
So let's discuss a fella here now. Okay. Now that we have that, let's set the table. That's what's going to happen. Let's talk about a fella here. William Joseph Helmer is his name. 24 years old is this guy we're going to talk about here. Let's talk about him from the start. He's got quite the juvenile record to begin with. He's one of these guys that's just a problem from the start, put it that way.
George Thorogood.
He is George Thorogood, bad company. He's all of the above.
5-finger death punch rolled into one.
All the above, definitely. So he, as a kid, at one point, he's arrested as a teenager here. We're talking. Now, he's not 12 or anything. This is like 16-year-old asshole. He's arrested for 8 counts of intentional damage to private property at one point, which 18? Is what 8 counts.
Oh, okay.
Which is what kids do dumb shit, and sometimes they need to do something dumb and go, oh wow, I get caught for that and get in trouble. That sucks. I don't want to do that. So another time he was caught driving a vehicle. This is right out of the court document here. Let me give you this: driving a vehicle not his own over a cliff.
What? He
stole a car and drove it off a cliff because he thought that would be fun. because he thought it'd be fun.
You saw Thelma and Louise?
I think it's 93, probably. Yeah, I think it just came out. He's like, come on, Gina Davis, let's get in this car and let's do something. Hold my hand and we're flying off this fucking cliff, I think. Maybe.
Put on
it's
your
possible.
best jean dress.
I think it's possible. Let's do it. Flash them gums, Gina. Let's get it on. So, I don't know. But either way, why would you do that?
He drove it off and like barrel rolled out of it, or what?
He drove off a cliff. I think he tried to land it like Grand Theft Auto style. I think he tried to, San Andreas that shit off a mountain and land it on the tires. He's a bit of an adrenaline seeker, as we'll find out from his actions here. Yeah. Number one, just as a kid looking for trouble all the time, driving a vehicle not his own off a cliff. In his yearbook in 1988, it lists him as being in the debate club, the photography, whatever the shit, and wrestling on the wrestling team. That's what it says in the yearbook. But then a few years later, the wrestling coach says that his name doesn't ring a bell. So, yeah, that's how he was on the team, but didn't, even forge a memory for his coach to even remember him a few years later.
I don't know. I got a lot of kids.
As a person that existed, so average in that way.
That hurts. That really
hurts.
Stings.
That hurts. Maybe it was one of those things where his parents wanted him to do it, and he was like, I'm just going to blend into the wallpaper here in the background and not really.
I went in 6th grade. My teacher meant the world to me, and I was in my 20s and went back to tell her so, and she didn't remember me. She had no fucking idea who I am.
That happens so often. That's so often. I've seen
brutal.
Yeah, there's even that's happened. Like it's like a sitcom thing. It's like we definitely don't mean as much to them.
Right.
They're like, we can't wait for you to leave so I can drink wine later.
Build them up to be such a big deal, and then you see them, and they're like, "Who are you?"
What we don't realize is when we leave the classroom as children, they go, "Oh, thank God, Jesus Christ, they left finally, God," and then they fucking pull booze out of their drawer and go, "I need this to not kill them."
This is everything to me. I may be everything to them, but this is everything to me.
Jesus. So he graduated from Rapid City Stevens High School, William Joseph Helmer. And he goes by Bill, so we'll just call him Bill. Right. Bill Helmer here. Now, in April of 1989, there's an article in the paper about him being injured in a motorcycle accident. See, he likes a little bit of danger here.
Shit, yeah.
Well, and it's what he's doing. It's all his fault, too. That's the funny part. Motorcycle accident after swerving sharply to avoid a head-on collision with a car on Lake Road about 12 miles from Rapid City.
Why in that lane, sir?
The accident took place while Helmer was reportedly passing a vehicle on Sheridan Lake Road Saturday at a speed exceeding 80 miles an hour.
Of course he was.
Because he's a fucking dipshit. Luckily, there was no cliffs nearby to jump off of. He would have done some Wile E. Coyote shit. The driver of the oncoming car said he was coming around a blind curve when the motorcycle appeared in his lane.
My God.
That is frightening. He's driving
passing in a blind curve.
Blind curve.
Clearly a double yellow.
At 80.
At 8, that's suicide.
This is the type of kid who drives a car off a cliff to see if he can land it. You know what I mean?
Somebody else's car.
I didn't realize, too. This is Duke Boy times, too. I mean, that was 10 years before. He might have seen the reruns were on at this point. He might have been like, I want to Dukes of Hazzard this fucking thing off of this real bad. Because we all had that fantasy.
Of course.
Anyone who was alive and a child in the 80s knew of the Dukes of Hazzard and wanted to jump their car over a cliff.
Yeah. I'm glad that I was not like 13 when Jackass came out. I would have jumped into ceiling fans for sure.
You would have been. Your genitalia would have burn marks on it still if you were 13 when Jackass came out.
The amount of wheelchair Olympics I would have done.
Oh
crazy.
My God, it would have been terrible. You would have been like on Family Guy when they did it. That would have been the first time everyone's totally injured. So he's driving a maroon Yamaha, by the way.
Yeah.
That's his bike of choice. He swerved right and shot past the other guy, and the driver said he watched in his rear view as the motorcycle wobbled and then went down because he did a crazy maneuver at 80. He weaved in between cars. The driver of that car and the one being passed stopped to help him, so they charged him with reckless driving and passing in a no-passing zone.
Oh. What hurts worse, the road rash or those people seeing it?
After you just did a dumb shit move, and then they're like, "Hey, what's up there, Speedy? How's it going?"
You okay?
Yeah. What's up? Can't wait for a blind curve. Yeah. Was it worth it? Worth
500
it, huh?
feet is all you needed, bud.
Oh, my God. They're going, yeah, karma sucks. And you're just like, I can't move my arms.
Yeah.
It's very different. So another time here, like a month later, he's busted and charged with grand theft for stealing hood ornaments.
Uh-huh.
He's stealing shitloads of hood ornaments from car dealerships.
From the dealer?
He's going to the dealerships where there's tons of them and just plucking them off cars. The
Monte Carlo was a pretty cool hood ornament. I stole a couple of those.
In 93? I'm trying to think.
Probably
No, that was
close.
earlier. That was early. That was
92, 91?
That was a cooler 80s one, I think. By then.
The boxy one, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the 80s, I think.
I mean, in 92, 93, I was stealing them.
Could
Those
still
cars
take them.
were still on the road.
I'm
you know
thinking
what I mean?
from a dealership. I'm like,
No.
They have, I saw on, I think, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, the Rolls Royce has one where if you grab it, it sucks it back into the hood.
Yeah.
Just like, boom, it's gone. Trap doors, that shit. So,
but that
cool.
Ram on the Dodge does not do that.
You can just pluck
that goes
shit
right
off.
in your pocket.
When we were kids too, the Mercedes emblems used to be upright, standing, not like attached to the hood. So people, that was the big one. You'd pluck
that was a good one to
off,
steal. Yeah.
People would pop that bitch on a necklace, and there you go.
You
got something. You got something, man. So he was pursued and arrested at 12:59 a.m. after a dealer or an officer spotted him parked at a dealer's lot in a 1984 Pontiac, which didn't fit into the dealership. So the police reported finding 9 hood ornaments in his car.
Oh, boy.
And his bail was set and all that sort of shit. But he ends up being charged with automotive depreciation, which because it said that the felony charge couldn't stand up because the stolen automobile parts had depreciated to a true value of less than $200.
Yeah, because they're broken.
Exactly. So because he broke them, they're worth less. Which is a very weird.
Charged with a crime that is that.
That is less. It's so weird. So yeah, originally it was estimated to be $500, but now it's less. So anyway, he gets 30 days in jail 30 days of a 90-day sentence and 60 days suspended, obviously.
Yeah.
And he has to pay $100 and placed on 1 year's probation. So that's what he had to do there. Now, from court documents here, it says he went from here to the Persian Gulf for the first Iraq War.
Really?
When that started up, joined the Army, wanted to go over there and jump into that in the early 90s.
What a choice.
He likes to drive cars off of cliffs.
Yeah.
He likes to take 80-mile-an-hour blind curves, blind curves at 80 miles an hour passing people. And he goes, there's a war? Fucking cool. That's his personality. He likes to... He's an adrenaline guy, That's what it is.
And the narrative of that war was that it was like the least dangerous thing we could possibly do.
Yeah, they set it up in the whole atmosphere of the country. Because I remember that as kids, it was like a big paintball game that the guys were going to do. Like, we're going to go over there they're going to go over, beat up some Iraqis, give them some noogies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then come home, we'll give them a parade, and then we'll all celebrate how tough we are. And that's what it kind of, it sort of happened.
Kind of panned out that way.
Obviously not 100%, but for the most part.
I mean, a bunch of people still died, but
they still played it up that way. Like, hey, that was easy. All right. So anyway, when he gets as an adult, he also is arrested for eluding a police officer and possession of stolen property.
Oh boy.
So he might have joined the Army to get like some sort of legal, ease. I'm not sure. Easement here. And a year later, he's arrested for grand theft and intentional damage to property and also eluding a police officer.
Wow.
Now, let's talk about what his neighbors say about him.
Oh, I can't wait.
As a kid. This is always the best here. This is from the paper, and it says, quote, former neighbors say Helmer was a loner. This is by a guy named Hugh O'Gara. Okay. It says that, here he is. One neighbor says, quote, he was terrible.
Okay.
And another one just says, strange. That's what and another one says, he was just another kid that was lonesome. We'll talk about these people here. His father is a retired oil field worker who died when he was younger. That's
really?
He comes from kind of dead father who had a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Still, but made good money too.
Yeah.
His mother operates a seasonal shop in Hill City, like a gift shop that's open in the summer called Betty's. Sells T-shirts and knickknacks and, postcards with fucking hills on it, all that
Couple
bullshit.
of hills where the titties go. I know what it is.
You know how it goes there. Yeah.
The
Shot
funny
glasses with, humorous.
The apron with the hills on it. I know how it goes.
You know how it goes. So the Helmer and his mother left the house that they're in about 1989, but the neighbors said they never forgot him. One said, quote, "Everybody rejoiced when he moved. If he was in town, I'd be worried."
Wow.
That's the kind of kid he is here. He constantly carried what's called in the paper here a survival sheath knife. So just basically like a big Rambo knife.
Yeah, the one with the serrated on top and the flat blade on the bottom.
Yeah, and fake grenades.
What?
He just had fake grenades clipped to his belt walking around. So, he heard there was a war, and he's like, real grenades? Cool. That's all. Walking around with a knife. And I think he was real into Rambo. I think this guy was influenced a lot by, 80s culture.
Sly gave him hell.
He's like, I'm going to Duke boy this car over that gully and then get on the other side and throw these grenades at the Viet Cong and get back them POWs because it's time.
What?
It's time.
Fucking life.
It's been long enough they've been over there.
Fascinating fella.
He's an interesting guy. He would work on cars while playing music loudly in the driveway, which is always endearing to the neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you blast your shitty
Blasting
music.
Def Leppard while you're yanking out the exhaust of your car.
I was going to say, what do you think he's listening to in 93? He's an 80s kind of a guy, so I could see that. I could see Motley Crue.
Yeah, he's running with the devil, James.
I think Motley, that might be too much musicianship for him. I think he's a Motley Crue guy.
Right.
I really
Motley
do.
Crue, you think
just
so?
Dr. Feelgood on a loop. You know what I mean? I think he thinks he's Dr. Feelgood. He likes that song. Yeah. He does that, and then he throws in a Kickstart My Heart once in a while. Yeah. Late 80s Crew, though. None of the early stuff, Yeah. None of the fun shit, really.
None of the live wire?
No. None of that stuff. So they said he was a loner and all that sort of shit, and a suspect in several neighborhood burglaries where everyone in the neighborhood suspected him. He's that kid from the neighborhood. Remember that guy?
Yep, sure do.
That's him.
A Pontiac, James.
An 84 Pontiac in 93 or 91 at the time. So the neighbor said, quote, "No discipline whatsoever. There would be parties that lasted all night. He was too young for that. He's crazy." So he's the crazy kid in town.
Yeah.
Another neighbor said that he was just a kid doing what kids do. One kid said, this guy here, Leo Ham is his name with 2 M's. Quote, "He didn't spook me. He was just another kid that was lonesome." He said he did intimidate some of his neighbors, but not him. So he was like, what do you care? I don't give a shit.
It's a fascinating choice of words.
Don't scare me, none. That's all. Just
you don't spook me one bit.
One bit. I sit down, have a Meisterbrow with the young man and see how he feels. He was frequently alone. And, one guy said, this is the Leo Ham still, he said he would just show up looking for companionship and wouldn't leave. So he'd show up, and if you were nice to him, he'd just hang out with you forever.
And be a chatterbox for a minute.
Yeah, I think he's lonely, and also his dad died when he was young, too. So I think maybe that's a neighbor who's like an older guy. If you hang out in the garage with him for a while, I think he's pretty excited about that.
Sure.
He had several motorcycles. He would race through the hills and through the neighborhood and bother the neighbors. And
Several.
And he would buzz around their yards and all over the streets. Leo Ham here again said, quote, "I don't think he really thought about it. When I talked to him, he stopped."
Oh.
So it's almost like he's looking for somebody to...
He's just having fun, and until you tell him not to do it, he's going to do it.
And he had no problems in the Army, too, which makes me feel like he wants discipline, and he just doesn't know where to get it from.
He just needs to be told what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. One classmate of his said he seemed normal. That's a ringing endorsement. Uh-huh. He seemed normal. All right, well.
A lot of people seem normal.
I mean, no shit. One girl from high school called him a real oddball. Oh. She said, "I didn't know him personally, but I don't remember him ever having friends. He was kind of quiet, a loner. He wasn't real friendly, never smiled. I always did try to say hi to him and smile at him, but he didn't even acknowledge the fact." Oh, this is like Molly Ringwald from the Breakfast Club here. This is fun. He was a loner, kind of quiet. He didn't have friends like me. I was more popular. They cut that part out. So August of 1993, we'll fast forward to. He's home from the war and all that stuff. There's a young lady named Angela Henson, and she first meets Bill Helmer while she's working for his mother at the gift shop that she runs there in town. So that's nice. It's a
slinging shit at Betty's.
Yeah, slinging titty aprons at Betty's.
Hot sauce and pyrite.
And you meet this young man. Look at this. Hell yeah. Oh, I bet it's like fake tin, though, because that's what's from there.
Yeah, of course.
You want to buy some fake tin? It's more expensive than real tin because it's just harder to make the whole alloy thing, but, it's just better that way.
Spray paint it up.
We spray paint it silver. It costs way more than it would just to use tin, I got to say.
It'd be cheaper if we just did tin.
But we do pass the expense on to you, so I think it's better. So in October of 1993, Henson met Helmer's wife. Bill Helmer got married to a woman named Tracy, and there's also another guy in the mix named Randy Dixon.
Okay.
And so Randy Dixon had latched on to them at some point, latched on to Bill and his wife Tracy at some point in Arizona.
Fascinating.
They were all staying in Arizona. I don't know why, but whatever. Maybe it's, when Bill got out of the Army. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So they became good friends, and a lot of times the four of them, Randy, Tracy, Bill, and Angela Henson, would all hang out, and they would stay at Angela Henson's house in Rapid City. They'd hang out, whatever, have a dinner party and
traveling circus. It's
stay over.
Yeah, it's fun.
They're all buddies. So on November the 13th, 1993, Bill Helmer and Randy Dixon stayed overnight at Angela Henson's house. Okay. Now, the next day, about 4 or 5 p.m., this is November the 14th, Helmer, Bill, he says, I really, really want to drive out to my campsite.
Okay.
I got a bunch of shit at this campsite, and outside of Hill City. I really want to get out there. Personal belongings.
Yeah,
let's go take a ride. Let's go do this. So he asked Angela Henson and Dixon, "Come with me, guys. Come on, don't make me go by myself all the way out there.
Have a ride with me.
Company. We'll go for a ride. We'll pop some late crew on in there." We'll do I'm on my way. It's a long one.
I hope it's not a Bon Jovi guy.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
The worst.
It's like, I don't know, kind of more into like Jovi, you know what I mean?
At this point, that's like Bed of Roses and shit. That's not good.
Like, it's 1993. What are you talking about? How can you be into that? Yeah, but that's how I feel too, because he was that's what was out when he was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, if I could just get me an 88 Camaro and just pump some Kickstart my heart out of that, I'll get all the women.
Yeah?
I'll get all the ladies then. It'll be falling into my T-tops. I won't even be able to stop them. Tumbling into it. So they do that. Henson ends up driving. So come with me because I want you to drive.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Drives them out to the intersection of China Gulch Road and Marshall Gulch Road. There's a lot of Gulch roads here. She parked the car. And because that's like the last place I think this car could go with the rugged terrain.
Before we need a four-wheel drive?
We get out and walk to the campsite from there is how this works here. So they do. They walk to the campsite. When they arrive at the campsite, there's a trailer he has there and stuff. It's a real, it's a setup. It's not just, I picture like a tent and a little campfire that's been put out with a little ring of smoke.
Like a roll.
A roll sitting there that can be a tent if you're real creative, if you really want to put some work in.
If you can find a good, strong stick. 2 of them.
Yeah, it's
one for
a
the
couple
front,
of
one
them.
for the back.
We can make a tent out of this, I'm telling you. No, he's got a trailer and everything all set up there.
Awesome.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News & World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
So he enters the trailer, and he comes back out and hands Angela Henson a silver case when he gets goes in there, and he also had a yellow bag that he pulled out, and he takes out from the yellow bag what's called in the court document here a quote 9mm submachine gun.
Jesus.
So yeah, he's got like a 9mm Uzi or
Tech
what,
9,
like a Tech 9 or there's a lot of different
it's probably
ways
a Tech 9.
A lot of ways that happens, and 9mm are pretty ubiquitous with shit. So
most unreliable gun on the planet.
Oh, it's terrible.
Piece of shit.
Not a good one at all. So,
every time I heard it in a rap song, I was like, "You ain't gonna hit me."
I mean, you might a couple of times, but then it'll stop. So, but still a gun nonetheless, and obviously, very dangerous, and if working properly, extremely dangerous and terrifying as a weapon. So. He takes this out and hands the bag to Angela Henson to carry. Okay. Now, in the meantime, while they're dealing with silver cases and Tech 9s, Randy Dixon is getting some items from a tent that was also located on the camp. I don't know if these were his items or if he'd been directed to, hey, grab some shit over there. Okay. So the three of them leave. They get back to the car, and Bill Helmer's carrying a large green bag, a smaller bag, a coat, a flashlight, and a double-bladed axe. So Jesus. Looks like he's going out camping and chopping trees down.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's going out lumberjacking, just like a lumberjack camp type of deal, his own, just him. Yeah. So Dixon gets to the car first, and Randy's leaning against the car, smoking a cigarette, and they're all just, talking shit. Sure. And Angela Henson unlocks the trunk and walks to the driver's side and leaves Bill and Randy at the back of the car. And then she says that she heard a very loud pop sound.
Yeah.
And she turned around and saw Helmer standing behind the car and Dixon laying on the ground with blood shooting out of his head.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Uh-oh. So if that's not weird enough, everything was fine, and there's just like a mafia-style execution
There's now
here.
A murder,
Now a murder. At that point, now it gets really weird. Okay. Bill Helmer throws something in the trunk and tells Angela Henson, quote, "You know nothing and you saw nothing, and you and your daughter will pay if you do, and your daughter will be next."
Dear Lord.
So that's what he tells her. So,
know nothing about what?
This guy's still bleeding out on the ground, and you're like, what?
He's trying to erase her memory already.
I'm going, you could have just borrowed my car. Did I need to be here for this? Why did you take me?
Why'd you show me that?
Well, it gets way worse now. Okay. Helmer here, Bill, then grabs Dixon by the ankles and drags him across and off the road. Drags him over the road and across and, where he ends up being found over there. Walks the body, walked back to the body again, looking over it. Right. Angela Henson's like, okay, I guess they're leaving him there. He comes back to the car where Angela is, grabs the double-bladed axe.
Oh, dear Lord.
Okay, well, it's dark now, Jimmie. Yeah. So I can't do anything with this axe by myself. I need someone to hold the flashlight for me.
You got to hold the flashlight.
Like you're an 8-year-old and
shit.
your dad's trying to change a tire and you're out there.
Your dad with the rusty bolt. Oh,
God
my
damn it.
God.
You're making a shadow with my arm. Hi, hold it above.
Aim it where I'm working.
You're holding your other arm with your other arm. Over the thing. You're on the tire, for Christ's sake. We've all been there.
Don't shake.
So she gets back and said, listen, here's what I need you to do. Get this flashlight and walk with me while I get this axe. She said she begged to be made didn't want any part of this. She could see where this was going and wanted no part of it. But he said, get the goddamn flashlight.
Yeah.
Fucking follow me where I'm going.
Oh, my.
So she said she did as she was told and went over there. They walked across the road. By the way, that's a quiet 50 feet.
Yeah, it's a long walk.
You've had this conversation, and now you're going to go over there. You can't just be like, you really see Orion tonight. Like, you know, like.
Is that the Big Dipper?
Wow, look at that. It's clear tonight. This is nice. I think that's Venus. Look at it. It's pretty. Oh, look at it shine.
Are you into astrology? I think that's Cancer.
I think that is. Anyway, we'll talk about it another time, but right now, hold this flashlight over this guy while I try to dismember him. Cool? Okay.
Wow.
And mind you, he is a there's still, like, if you dismember him, there's still going to be a lot of blood everywhere, and this is not an easy thing to do. So she said she held the flashlight over but looked away, which I have to be honest with you, I have a lot of problems with her story. This is all her story.
You can't look away. You got to see where you're aiming, where you're aiming that light.
She went in the house. She went in the trailer with him. Uh-huh. They dealt with the gun. Randy was out by himself. They walked out. They're by the car. He shoots her, or he shoots Randy.
Yep.
Then drags him away. Goes back. Says, "Hold this flashlight. Come over here. We're going to do this shit." It's just
all against her will.
And she's like, "Oh, I just begged not to be a part of it, but he threatened my daughter." It's just very convenient.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what her motivation would be to want to help, but I don't know what his motivation is to want to kill him. So it's, who knows? They might have decided that Randy needed to go for whatever reason. So she said either way that she held the flashlight while she heard
thuds,
repeated hacking at the head and hands, because it takes a while to get a head off with an axe.
Yeah. One swipe ain't going to do it.
No, and you got to keep chopping. And she said that she held the flashlight right there and could hear, spatter and hear chunks coming, on the ground.
That's a wet cut.
Viscera and, not great. So he repeated this with the hands and the head, did everything. She said that when she looked back, finally, you have to look or else the flashlight's not, you can't hold the flashlight where you need to hold it the whole time unless
you
you're
turn
looking.
your head, it moves 5 feet.
Exactly. And if you stay over there, it's going to drift, and then you're going to get the guy going, I can't see his goddamn fucking wrist joints. I'm trying to cut it. So she said she looks back and sees that Dixon's head and hands have been chopped off.
Yeah.
She didn't look at all to even know what parts he was chopping in her claim. Bill returns to the car. I guess it wouldn't be Randy returning anywhere at this point, not on his own volition anyway. He goes to the car, gets some plastic bags, and comes back to the body. Uh-huh. He places the head in a bag and the hands in a different bag and brings them back to the car like he just got, bought some goldfish at the pet store, and he's got like the little water bag.
Like he comes won the cakewalk.
Yeah, he filled the clown's mouth at the carnival.
Yes, there it is.
He got this. So they place them into the car, and then he returns to the body to get Dixon's wallet and, of course, his axe as well, clearly, which he wiped the body matter off on the ground. Did like a quick on the ground
dirt,
yeah. And then he, according to Henson, ordered her to get into the car, and we're going to drive to Sheridan Lake Road. Get out there. He pulls the car over onto a gravel area near a steep overlook and turned the car's lights off, took the keys with him, and got out of the car. He opened up the back door to the car, got the head and the hands out, got his hand and head bags out, walked behind the car. She said he knelt down for a couple of seconds, like doing like
tie him up.
Little prayer or a genuflect. I don't know what he was doing there.
Take a knee.
And then threw the bags one at a time over the edge of the overlook. Just tossed them. head and hands. So then he got back in the car and quote, tried to give Henson one of Dixon's rings.
Yikes. That's what he did while knelt down. Took him off.
Took the ring off the guy's hand. There you
shit. Go. Opened the bag and got inside.
By the way, you want this? She said she took it but threw it in the back seat. She's like, I couldn't have it near me. Then, Jesus Christ, he refused to take her, according to her, he refused to take her to pick up her daughter from the babysitter. And instead, he drove them to her house. Okay. Now, at the house, she said she went into the bathroom and vomited immediately.
Of course.
She held it in this whole time, but now it's time to vomit.
It on the body, for Christ's
I would
sake.
imagine by the third chop, I'd be like, this is
If
gross.
I didn't do it while there's blood coming out of a human being.
This is, I don't know. At this point, I don't know, though. I don't know the reaction to this. So Bill enters the bathroom while she's puking and washes his hands. And upon her exit from the bathroom, she said, can we go pick my daughter up again? And he said, no. We're not going to pick your daughter up. We're going to the oyster pub.
Oh, we want
the
oysters
bar.
Now. Yeah.
We're going out to the bar.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing. So upon their arrival, he ordered oysters.
Ew.
He got oysters and beers for himself.
Wow.
And a soda for Henson because she didn't want booze.
What a choice.
Okay, we've had a lot of different murder choices.
Yeah.
It seems like beef is a popular choice for murder. You got to get your strength back, the protein, which, again, oysters full of protein as well.
Full of protein, yeah.
But you'd seem like you wouldn't really want oysters after you've been dismembering.
Right.
I feel like
it's a specific
fleshy
texture. Yeah, there's too
it's
much.
Fleshy.
There's too much of the not real certain. It's just too soft.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it seems at least the steak. If you had to in your brain go, oh God, this is like human meat. At least it's cooked.
Right.
And
even if it's meat, it's firm meat. Where an oyster, you don't even chew that. You know.
No, you're just swishing it around.
Yeah.
This is an odd choice, but oysters and a beer. And he was like, all right, let's hang out here.
It's not a bad Sunday afternoon.
I mean,
I'm into it.
It's a fine day. I love oysters and beer. But it's an odd choice post-dismemberment and body disposal. That's all I mean. So he remains at the bar, chatting with the bartender, having a good time, sucking down his oysters. And she played, they had lottery machines. They had the gambling machines there on the counters. And she did that. So they just hung out like it was any other night. You're not picking up your daughter. I want oysters.
I want oysters. You want gambling. Let's go.
So after he finishes his oysters, she says that she again said, please, can we pick up my daughter from the babysitter? And he said, all right, fine. Let's go. We can pick her up then, and then we'll all go back to your house.
Because I'm full of aphrodisiac now.
I'm full of oyster now. He tried to force some on her. I'm good. That's fucking bad. So he, at the house, Angela Henson and her daughter went into the bedroom and laid on the bed fully clothed. Okay. Now, I don't know how old the daughter is, by the way.
She goes to daycare, so she's she's
younger? I think she's little is what I'm thinking here. Plus, I think Angela Henson's in like her mid-20s also, so I think the kid is young. So during this time, Angela, hears Bill open and close the outside door more than once. Comes in and out a couple of times. Yeah. Eventually, Bill comes into the bedroom and lays down on the bed next to her and, quote, requested to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Like
oysters, girl.
I don't know if it was like a written request, if he submitted like a form. I have the requisite 1080 form here for you. Well, it's all filled out. All right.
Here.
We'll process it 4 to 6 weeks. We'll get back to you. But everything looks to be in order. Apparently, she acquiesced to this, and they had sex. And then later on in the evening, when they're basking in the afterglow of dismemberment and oysters and post-coital bliss, he leans back, puts his hands behind his head, just, and he says, I've committed the perfect crime. That's what he says.
What a dope.
Nothing.
I've done it.
I just came 5 minutes ago, so that means I'm brilliant. That's what.
So proud of me.
Every man feels like a genius immediately after you're done. That's the thing.
Post-dump, yeah.
I'm a genius.
I'm amazing.
She let me do that to her. That means I'm smart. And I killed a man. I've never been more powerful. I'm full of oyster meat and fucking vigor. So
all oyster, no load. I am empty but full.
Empty but full. I've committed the perfect crime. So the next day, he tells her to remove the license plates from her car and report them stolen.
Yeah.
Say somebody stole your license plates. That way, if somebody saw your plates, you can say somebody stole them. Right. So the next day, November 16th, the officers, they're just investigating the crime scene and they see the body. What they do is they just follow some footprints that are in the ground pretty prominently, the only human footprints they can find. So they're like, oh, there's footprints going back and forth from this body. So they follow them all the way down a trail right up to a campsite. And
there's a camper and shit?
Well, there's like a camper. There's all sorts of stuff. And
perfect
near
crime.
it, I've committed the perfect crime within walking distance of my campsite with my footprints leading to my front door. The perfect crime! With witnesses and everything.
If by perfect crime he means very easy.
A criminal genius this guy is. The perfect crime. So they follow this. They then discover bills and envelopes scattered around on the ground.
With like his name and address on them?
Like a stack of mail that got blown away by the wind. And they're all addressed to Tracy with the last names of Elliot, Erickson, and Helmer. Her current name, his wife. So they do a little more investigation on that, follow the address. It belongs to Tracy Helmer, who resides in Hot Springs, South Dakota. So later that evening, they try to get a hold of her, obviously, figure out what her connection she has. So later that evening, Bill calls the police department hotter than shit, pissed off at them. Why the fuck are you trying to talk to my wife? Who the hell are you to try to talk? What do you do? Like they were hitting on her. They're investigating a murder. And he's like, how dare you? I heard you grabbed her ass. So he's pissed off. Why are you looking for my wife? So they said, well, there's this thing that happened and we're trying to talk to her. You know, maybe we could talk to you about it because this behavior makes them think this sounds interesting.
Yeah.
He seems like a character. So they said, well, why don't you come down to the sheriff's office and discuss it, you know? Yeah. So he said, fine, but I'm not bringing my wife.
Okay.
They're like, great.
You gotta stay away from her.
Yeah, not happening. You know, I saw the way you were looking at her. I could feel it. You're thinking dirty things. He gets there. He gives an extended voluntary statement. Yeah. Says he's been with his friends, Andrea and Chris Drain, who are people who are campers that are near that campsite.
Okay.
Said that's where he was hanging out. He doesn't know any knowledge of Randy Dixon. I don't know where he is. I don't know how he died. I don't know he died. I know nothing about it. He said he agreed to accompany law enforcement officers to his campsite, though, so he can explain some things. We're going on a field trip.
Yeah.
During the field trip, the law enforcement there, the cops in Rapid City, locate the two people who he said were his alibi, and they said, we didn't see him that night. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Right.
So he didn't straighten the alibi with them first. He just...
That should have been, so much for perfect.
Not the perfect crime, I would say here. The perfect crime. Footprints leading right up to mail with my wife's name on it. Perfect. It's perfect.
Alibi that the people that I'm going with, I have no idea about.
Never even talked to him. Perfect crime. Nice dismount. So then the cops track down Angela Henson from all of this because the people that he gave the alibi to said, well, he hangs out with this lady a lot, maybe talk to her. Yeah. So the fact that he gave the cops those names are the only reason they talked to Angela Henson. Otherwise, they wouldn't even have known she existed. She doesn't have anything to do with anything. Her address is nowhere. She doesn't exist, according to the cops. So instead, they talk to her. First, she says, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Randy Dixon, I know the guy, but I don't know what you're talking about. So then Angela Henson's sitting there a little while. And they go, look, we have this and this. And she goes, okay, fine. I saw the whole thing. He chopped the guy's head off, shot him in front of me, but I didn't see anything. And I just wanted to go pick my daughter up. And I gambled against my will afterwards. And the sex was terrible.
It was bad.
Honestly, here's the thing. She could be just being held hostage this whole time.
Possible.
We don't know, but she does a lot of.
You'll go out of your way to protect your daughter or your child when you're scared, and sometimes that incriminates yourself.
The fact that, but I just don't believe you could hold a flashlight over a dismemberment properly without looking at it. I can't believe that.
You have to see that. Yeah,
and maybe that's her way of. I don't know. She might. I can't tell what happened with her, but she ended up spilling the beans anyway. So I think maybe they said, "Look, do you want to be a witness or a suspect?" I think is probably what they said, because that's what homicide detectives say. And then she said, "Oh, I'm a witness, believe me." And that's the story.
I've seen it.
Oh, I've definitely seen it. So at about 3 a.m., Helmer and law enforcement officers return from their campsite visit, and he's arrested about 4 or 5 in the morning. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take you in." They've ended up finding, because Angela Henson told them where the other body parts were thrown.
Right.
So a couple days later, they find the head, they find the hands, and they said the mutilation of the body had to do with the concealment of the death. They were trying to, obviously, so you couldn't identify him. So when they talk to him, he initially says he's with friends, obviously. Then he ends up saying, "I don't want to talk." So then one of the officers here said, I don't know if he then tells one of the officers, though, after he said that I don't want to talk, said I want a lawyer. But then he said, I don't know if God can forgive me for what I've done. Then he said that before the killing, quote, I knelt down and asked God to forgive me for the life I was about to take.
About? What?
He
you don't even have to. Yeah.
He's like, God, oh no, I'm going to take this life. God's like, hold on a minute. Wait, what's up? No, God, you can't talk. I'm going to kill him.
I just need your forgiveness.
No. Normally we do like after the fact is when we do forgiveness. Like you kill him and then you go, I feel terrible. And I can say, well, you're forgiven, my son. This way is not, you can't, shit. God, did I just damn myself? I do that all the time. It's hilarious. Okay, I'm sorry. That's what's going on here. I feel like this is ridiculous. So his first court appearance, he wears like this big, almost like a boxer's robe. Some boxers will come in, they have the hood that like covers half their face.
Yeah, the cloak.
That's how he comes into court.
To court.
That's his jacket. There's a picture. I'll post it on social media with this. It is at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. It is frightening looking, and you look like a murderer when you're brought into court like that. You really do. Literally, the boxers do that to look scary.
Yeah, the Grim Reaper does that because we don't know what his face looks like.
No shit, man. It's crazy. So during the trial, the trial's kind of a zoo because they're trying to suppress the statement that he made. Because he said, well, I'm not talking, and then he said something that's clearly... So that's a big point of contention. Well, once he said he's not talking, does that count now? Yeah. And the judge actually suppresses that.
Really?
Him saying, I asked God to forgive me for the life I was about to take. They've suppressed that shit, which is...
They're giving him a handicap.
He's starting out pretty good here. So that's a good suppression. But Angela Henson is going to testify about everything here. They talked a lot about how brazen he is, that rather than fleeing, he brazenly telephoned the police station and demanded to know why the police were looking for his wife.
It's pretty awesome.
Like all of that shit. So the strategy is he's fucking crazy. That's his lawyer. They're saying he's crazy. He just snapped, obviously. Look at this. Angela Henson at one point in her statement said Bill just snapped. So they're like, even she said he snapped. Like she's a psychiatrist that was doing a full examination. His lawyer says that he's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from the Gulf War, and that fed his already diagnosed paranoia. And he said, and then he went, this is first-degree manslaughter, obviously. We're not going to deny it happened, but clearly it's not murder, clearly. So he's examined by shitloads of people different psychologists and everything. They find no clear organic mental disorder and a good capacity for self-control. He knows the difference between right and wrong and was sane at the time of the offense. So verdict comes in, 8 women, 4 men on the jury here. Not a long Not a long deliberation on this one. Verdict is announced. He is found guilty of murder, not manslaughter at all here. Now it's just whether he's going to die of lethal injection or be sentenced to life without parole here.
Or stay in there till he dies.
Stay in there till he dies. There's aggravators and all that sort of thing going on. The jury is deadlocked 10-2 over this case. 10-2 they're deadlocked, whether they're in favor of the death penalty or not. And so they can't sentence him to death if the jury's deadlocked. It was 10 in favor of death, by the way.
Is that right?
Yeah, 10 in favor of death. And 2, I don't know what it is about, and this might be like a thing that guys have toward each other, but if a guy kills another adult guy, it's not a death penalty case to me. I don't know what it is. I can't, I'm like, life in prison is fine. Whereas if you kill, like, a lady or a kid, I'm like, that's when the people want to talk about it. But it's like, yeah, you killed another guy. Guys, even though obviously that makes no sense whatsoever.
To me, though, it depends on how. Like, did he have a fighting chance? If he didn't, then that's death. If it's just a surprise murder, that's not cool.
It's not cool. But, like, I feel like, I don't know, it's got to have some extra stank on it if you're going to go that route. You know what I mean?
Plugging a guy in the head and then taking it is
pretty quick. That's pretty quick, you know? Nothing against Randy Dixon. This is terrible. I'm just saying maybe that's just because, like I said, guys have less respect for guys when it comes to shit like that.
Yeah.
A guy can get shot and you're like, he'll be fine. You know, like.
Shake it off.
It's all right. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
That's why we have hospitals.
Yeah, you have a doctor. Relax.
Modern science will fix it.
So he is sentenced to, you, sir, may fuck off, life in prison without parole.
Oh, is that right?
No parole, or as the Rapid City Journal put it on July 11th, 1994, on its giant headline, quote, Helmer misses out on Death Row Club.
He almost got it.
Almost. They made it sound like he was just right there. He worked his whole life for it, and
one number crazy. Off. He just missed the Powerball number. He was almost there.
Almost there. So he appeals this based on the fact that they said that there was a jury problem, number one. He claims that they wouldn't allow jurors who own their own businesses to be on the jury panel because those people said, I can't take off because I run my own business and that I don't have employees to do my thing for me, and I won't have any money. So he said by allowing them to be excused, that was a way of kind of
tarnishing
them, and those, for some reason, the entrepreneurial class here, they would understand where I'm coming from.
They understand murder. They get it.
Well, they get the logical progression of you kill him, you want to hide the body, you cut his head and hands off. It's not an emotional thing. Right. It's just business. They get it. I guess that's his thought.
When you have an accounts payable department, that's when you really grasp that.
You know how it is. And also there's his statements as well, because even though they took out the statement of I pray to God to forgive me for the life I'm about to take, they still let other statements in that happened while the one cop was in the room, so it made it whatever. And the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court says, yes, that was wrong to allow those statements in, and that is an error, but not enough error to change the outcome of the case with an eyewitness there and him admitting doing it all over the place to others and everything else. Still not going to mean shit. You, sir, can keep on fucking off and head somewhere here for life without parole. Yeah. So
lucky we didn't give you death. If it was death, we'd commute it, but you're commuted.
He remains in prison, obviously, there.
Not a perfect murder.
Yeah, Angela Henson just, or as he put it, I've committed the perfect crime, and my penis feels good. Could you have a better night? And then he put his cloak on and went out there like a fucking maniac, like Darth Maul, for Christ's sake. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing, sir?
Was his face painted red?
Yeah. He came to court like Bernard Hopkins came to the ring back in the day. Like you're not the executioner. We're looking like I'm the executioner. I swear I didn't do this. Sir. This is not good at all here for him. So anyway, there you go. There is Hill City, South Dakota, and the case of the perfect crime being committed.
Anything but.
anything but the perfect crime. And obviously, we hope you enjoy these short episodes.
Yeah.
You can listen if you want longer episodes, not the same stories, obviously, different stories that have kind of more backstory to them and shit like that. You can listen every Thursday to Small Town Murder.
There you go.
Of course, and even listen to Crime and Sports every Tuesday as well, because those stories are crazy. You really don't have to like sports, especially the next couple weeks. We have a couple really wild ones coming up, so check that out. And check out, wait till you hear Small Town Murder. The next week one here coming up, the next one. Oh my God, crazy stuff. Can't
really
wait for everybody to hear it.
If you've ever played Grand Theft Auto, you'll be interested in this, so or even seen it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.